Lots of conversations, and I do think about your teachings. I think about it a lot, maybe thanks to therapy and all that good stuff, but about being happy. You know it's true.
Amen, sister.
Amen, sister. But if anything, the pandemic showed me I was running around like a nut, and it just made me stop and think about like where I want to be, and I'm still, whatever. How do you see the American workforce right now, and what's on their minds?
Exactly where you are. I think almost all of us are in the situation of our life got upended, things are shifting, we don't know what it's going to be like in the future, but it can't be a continuation of the status quo from the past. And fortunately, all the great body of work of research on habits finds that even though it's almost impossible for people and organizations to change their habits through motivation, this shift, this environmental shift in processes and how we're doing our work and where we're doing our work, from home back to sort of work, maybe hybrid, is a moment of truth opportunity for us to make a huge difference so that the future is not a continuation of where we were.
So I'm thinking about companies who call you up or say, come on, I need some help. Like, what are they asking? What do they want to know in terms of, Warren just talked about the social contract with workers is different between employees and workers now than what it's been. What are companies saying, help me with?
How can we retain our workforce? And also, how can we survive? Because everyone who's asking, how can we retain our workforce, is also part of the workforce. So 90% of us are open to the possibility of leaving our jobs right now. So that includes managers, that includes workers, and workers are saying, I'm not going to do the job that I've been doing before, and I have great opportunities elsewhere. So the whole balance of power has shifted, where it's not just the social contract, but we have a lot more people, a lot more jobs than people looking for them at the moment, and we're figuring out the Tetris game.
So this goes back to, Zoe, how I started, and I kicked off here and I said, what's normal? What's our new normal going forward? And, we've had this conversation, hybrid, does it stay and stuff. If it wasn't a tight labor market, would we not be having these conversations, and would it be kind of business as usual for a lot of employers? I know it's hard to say, how do you turn it back? But
it's hard to say, but leverage is a big deal here. So motivation is good, but especially all of us who've been human, worked in businesses, we feel incentives, we feel the leverage of the pressure. If we worked in public companies, we feel the pressure of profits. And now we feel the pressure of, we need to make this work, and we're being forced to, rather than just we want to. So I see this as a great thing, and we're going to have, I believe, more empathy and more respect because people are demanding it, and for the first time in recent history, they actually have the power to do so.
All right, and we're also going to have more badasses. I'm saying it because I never get to swear on air, but you said it to me in our planning call, and you said you're thinking about it a lot, this idea and admission that we are all badasses. Why is this important?
I don't remember saying that.
Whoa! You said it. I take really good notes.
I believe you.
Because it has to do with so many people leaving their jobs today, that they just feel this power.
Yeah, we have that opportunity. I think a lot of us don't feel like badasses at all.
I did take good notes, I promise.
So I totally believe you. And I want everyone to feel that way and to feel empowered to really take control of their lives. And I've gotten the opportunity over the past decade to be working with students at Yale School of Management and with executives around the world, where many of them who come to Yale are coming because they're making a transition of the type that so many of us pervasively are thinking about making, and many of us are making right now, where we want to take control, we want to be badasses and say, I'm jumping to a new path, and I want to pursue what really fills me up, motivates me, inspires me, and a work that I find meaning in, and work that I feel respected in, and I get compensated fairly for.
All right, it's still a contract though, right? Like, we go to work for a company, we get paid, we get benefits, we get all this good stuff, and a company expects you to be productive, right? And ultimately do what they need to do, let them fulfill their mission. So how do we kind of deal with important issues of being happy, being satisfied, feeling like you're growing, but yet a company and a manager is saying, I still need you to get this done? Like,
this is what we're all figuring out, right? And honestly, it can't just be that we have more and more pressure to be more and more productive. Like my team in the publisher that I work with at Random House, we were talking about this, where they're already working weekends, and what do you do when you get more work piled up on you and you didn't have the bandwidth and you didn't have the slack?
Right.
So honestly, we need to lower our expectations of one another. And we need to lower our expectations of productivity for the workforce. I know not many people are going to say this, but as an academic, I'm somebody who gets to say, we just can't have productivity expectations that are burning people out. We can't, because then we lose our workforce, more people come in, we have hope for them and for the future. So lowering our expectations, but also giving them the tools that they need to be productive. And what I especially mean is when something happens and somebody's not able to perform at the level that they have been, we need to have some flexibility, some empathy, some leeway that we offer them when they're not as productive as they normally are. Obviously, general productivity, we all have to meet it, or we're not going to get to keep our jobs, right? So I don't have tenure, so this includes me.
But companies need to be asking when somebody leaves, and we're all seeing people leave. We talk about it all the time, that there's a lot of movement. We need to be asking why they're leaving.
Yeah, and lots of times employees don't say exactly why they're leaving when they're doing their exit interview, but surveys of employees by outside organizations like Gallup find that 50% of employees say they left their job because of their manager and their relationship with their manager. So this is the biggest one. I'm just so
but there's a lot
hyperbolic. But
that's something that stuck out in researching your work. It's like bad bosses. There's a lot. I mean, how many have had a bad boss in their life? Yeah.
How many have been a bad boss?
Come on.
I have. So other research finds that 90% of bosses are bad bosses. So to me, the important thing is to find out in what way are we bad bosses, and then how can we work on that?
Well, how do senior leaders work with their managers below, that they oversee, and kind of helping them? Like, that's an interesting part of this conversation. How do we create better managers? Like, what is it? Because there's lots of training out there. Everybody goes to, the training seminars and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So what do people who are running companies or, managing people, what do they need to be thinking about?
One of the things that's so hard is people listen to people like me who give kind of generic advice, and then how do you apply it in your own context? So I'm a big believer in finding the stars in your context and observing them, interviewing them. What is it that those people are doing? And then figuring out how to transfer those skills and help people in your organization with those specific skills and practices that work there.
Can managers make everybody a star in their team? Does everybody need to be a star?
What do you think? Come on.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Is that a no? Oh my God. Do you all think everybody could be stars on your team?
No, I think everybody can be a star in something, but that doesn't mean everybody can be a star in every role that they get played.
And that's okay. Right? And that's okay. All right. I wanted to go through some of the things that you've worked about. You say that there's a magic question that every manager should be asking members of their team.
The magic question is, what would it take? And I'll share an example of how this can be applied. And this was from an organization that I worked in, medical device company called Guidant. I did an MBA and I worked in marketing as a real world person before being an academic. So Ginger Graham.
You're still real.
Thank you, Carol. Ginger Graham was second person under the CEO. She was president of the group or something. And the company had the good problem of demand vastly outstripping supply of their new medical device stent. They had predicted that they would capture a lot of market share, but they hadn't predicted that this was so great that it would be expanding the market a lot. And so what they needed to ask was employees to come in and work 3 shifts a day, overtime, including the period over Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is the last time of the year people want to do that. So carrots and sticks can make people feel like slaves, even the carrots. It's not that you don't need to compensate people. Obviously you do. But as soon as you stop, so people can feel manipulated by, this is how much I'll pay you to do this thing, right? It's not their motivation. They're just responding to what you're making them do. And then as soon as that stops, they're ready to leave, right? And go find the next carrot. So she said, and used the magic question, what would it take, in addition to money, for you to be happy to come into work and do this for us, to work together and make this happen? They told her, listen, we take the bus and it doesn't run at night, so you need to give us cab fare. She's an executive. She didn't think about that. They said, we're hungry. We like pizza. Okay. And they told her, we're stressed about wrapping our Christmas presents. And so she hired a Christmas present wrapper. People came in. They worked hard together on the team. Wow. hit record production levels. Everybody got, I think it was a 30% bonus. It works out for everybody. And the most important thing here is that in the aftermath, after this 2-month period, they are so excited to continue to come into work and be part of this team where everybody benefits. This question, the magic question, what would it take, you can use in any situation where you have rapport, any situation at all. And it's really surprising that people will tell you exactly what it takes to influence them.
We saw that in our experience at Bloomberg. I mean, early
Really?
on, like, what does it take to come? And we were being fed, we were getting, like, it was pretty remarkable.
What was the context where you were using that?
In terms of, there were a lot of people staying home, and they
Okay.
people, and
So you were asking employees, what will it take for you to come back to the office?
so it's,
Yes.
it really worked. How do we create, this is a question coming from the audience, how do we create more meaningful mentorship? How important is that?
Oh, I really feel strongly about this debate over mentorship versus sponsorship.
Yeah, they're two different things.
Yes.
I think sponsorship is much more powerful.
Okay, yeah. Can you speak about that?
Well, mentorship is you're helping people, you're having conversations. Sponsorship is somebody who's thinking about your career path. You know, we talk about the pipeline, certainly for women and for minorities. I mean, actually, I'm not probably as eloquent on it, but sponsorship is really thinking about how do we get them to where they want to be, right? And laying it out.
Yes, and it's not just conversations with that person that you want to help. It is doing meaningful, strategic things on their behalf in conversations with other people. Social networks are different for women and men, and I expect that the same thing is true for minorities, where men tend to have social networks that overlap between their personal life and their work life, and women tend to have separate social networks where what I take from this is, first of all, men are friendlier and they're less picky about who they spend time with, so yay men. And women have actually been more satisfied with working from home, partly for this reason, because we didn't lose all of our friends. So this is one reason women and minorities are less inclined to come back to the office in addition to everything else. And this is one of the big reasons that we, women and minorities in particular, need sponsorship, because we don't have as many close friends at work.
God, I have a million questions for you, and I only have a minute and a half. I really hate this sucks. I'm going to swear again. Okay. Your book is Influence Is Your Superpower, and it's been a lot of fun kind of going through it and prep for this. You know, you get into this idea that we are all born influential, and then we're taught to suppress that. And if
you have kids, you know this.
Right.
Deeply.
Well, and I think about the people who have done really well are people who, you know, break barriers, break walls, break everything. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, whether you like them or not, like they just figured out a different path. Why is this relevant, this idea of influence is your superpower? Why is it relevant for companies, managers, for workers right now?
I'm so passionate about this idea because the untraining that we get to play small and not take up too much space is making us uninfluential, and what we're doing is leaving power in the hands of the power-hungry people who study and practice the science of influence. So this is why I wrote this book ultimately, and I don't mean just for people who feel disempowered because they're not successful.
Right.
I'm absolutely including people who are successful, but every single one I talk to, and I haven't talked to Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, so I don't know about them, has some area of our life where we're uncomfortable asking for something, or we're uncomfortable drawing a boundary and saying, no, this includes people on Wall Street. This includes politicians. This includes people who are so wealthy that they get on lists of wealthy people. So I'm writing this book to let people know, here are a lot of ways that you can do this, advocate for yourself and others, and draw boundaries more successfully. Also just that it's easier to succeed than we believe. People like us more than we expect. It's not rocket science, but it is a science, and we can develop it.
They're going to hate me because I'm going over time. There's also one thing that you challenge our audience, the world, and that is, I love this, the power of saying no. Why is that important?
I start with no. When I teach this MBA class, it's a 7-week boot camp. First challenge is 24 hours of no. So I'm going to challenge you. If you are up for it, 24 hours of no, starting now or as soon as you're willing, to say no to every single person who comes and asks you for something, whether it's professional, I know it's not easy, personal, big, small, you want to do it, you don't want to do it, you feel like you have to do it, you don't.
Right.
And you have, first of all, permission to change your mind like everyone does always. And please, you're the boss of you, so don't ruin your life. But what you'll find... That's what I'm saying. Don't ruin your life. So what happens when you practice saying no is it becomes more comfortable. You realize nobody's going to kill you or hate you. And then when you're asking and advocating for yourself and others, you are less needy and you don't have that tinge of neediness that's repulsive to other people. You make them more comfortable to say no, and then they're more actually inclined to say yes to you. So 24 hours of no, I dare you.
Guys up for it? Oh, I think so. No? All right, all right.
You can say no to anything, including this. Thank you so much.